All right, team. So, welcome back. Tonight, we got some fresh topics that I want to cover. And usually, these topics are things that go on in the background. I see people might be struggling with, and topics that really matter, but often get overlooked as well. So, these are kind of quiet levers, I suppose you could call them, that really make all the flashy work that we do with our exercise and in the kitchen actually pay off. So, let's get into it. First one is around sleep and recovery, right? And I want to start with something that most of us, not most of us, a lot of us, I do see cutting corners on, and that's sleep. We've been conditioned in a way this day and age to admire the hustle and the late nights. And honestly, guys, if you're not sleeping well, you're really shortchanging all the effort that you're putting in elsewhere. And we'll touch on why it matters first, why sleep is so important. Firstly, is your hormonal balance, right? So sleep is when your body actually regulates your hormones. It controls your hunger, your satiety. So if you've ever noticed that when you are tired, you start to crave things like carbohydrates more, you want more sugar. Some people prefer more salt. Usually it's when they're under rested. Well, that's ghrelin and leptin, right? They're going haywire, and they're your two primary, we'll say, hunger hormones. One signals when you're full, and the other is when you're hungry. Ghrelin and leptin. You probably might have heard me say those before. You might have heard them before somewhere. They're important to understand, but we keep those in sync and within balance when we are resting and recovering and sleeping right. The next thing is muscle repair. During your sleep, your body releases growth hormone, which is another thing that helps keeping us feeling fresh and looking young. But it's also crucial for muscle recovery. It's crucial for your skin, your hair health, your heart health, and basically, if you skip the deep sleep, which you get when you're sleeping, you're basically training on half charged batteries. So you're not going to repair tissue or feel as well recovered throughout the day as you should do. The next thing is your mental clarity, right? So good sleep will also sharpen your focus, guys. It improves your decision making, and it can really help you to manage stress. So you're less likely to skip workouts or reach for junk food. And especially when life gets busy, being well rested will make all the difference in the world to your decision making. So some tips, guys, that I want to give you, right? Just with regards sleep, and you can look at these as hygiene tips around sleep or routine tips. But just a few details that I want to share. First one would be like a bedtime ritual. And this is something I used to not be great with myself, but I've improved a lot over the last few years. But just starting to wind down like 60 to 90 minutes before bedtime makes a huge difference. That might be simply dimming the lights in the room. It might be taking a warm shower. When you heat your body, right, through a warm shower before bed, your body naturally will want to cool itself, and that actually sets you up for the perfect kind of situation your body wants to be in, that cooling down effect for when you are going to sleep. Doing a little bit of gentle stretching is also great. Little cues like this, consistent cues, can help your brain to really switch off and unwind. Then we want to think about limiting stimulants, right? Caffeine in particular. We all love it. We all love a cup of coffee, guys. Well, most people anyway. But it has a half-life of between 5 to 6, even some people 7 hours. It depends on the person, how sensitive you are to it, let's say. So if you have an afternoon coffee, let's say at 3 p.m., half of that caffeine could be still in your system at 8 p.m., maybe 9 p.m., 10 p.m., depending on the person. So trying to switch off is very difficult then, because the caffeine is completely not gone, it's still there. So maybe switching your coffee to earlier in the day, or if you want something in the afternoon that's like a coffee, going for a decaf or even a herbal tea after lunch would be a better idea. Having them too close to bedtime or any time after like 1, 2 o'clock, you might get away with it the odd time, 3 or 4, but you're asking for a bit of messed up sleep that night in if you're having caffeine too late. Darkness matters a lot also, guys, even small amounts of light like your phone, the notifications on your phone that come in the evening, that can disrupt your melatonin production. So if you're next to the bed and your phone's going off and you're picking it up, it's not going to help. Your brain is feeling more wired again. It feels like it's daytime. So it's going to be harder to switch off and get to sleep. Okay? You could also consider things like if your room is bright, like blackout curtains, even an eye mask. I always use an eye mask when I'm flying because I need complete darkness. And obviously on a plane you don't always get that. With regards gadgets, if you keep them out of the room, like screens and stuff, obviously it's ideal, but it's not always possible. So you can invest in things like blue light blocking glasses. If you're someone that likes to be on a Kindle or on your phone late at night or looking at a screen, it does help. The blue light blocking glasses, I have them myself. I do use them for whenever I'm actually working late myself. With regards to temperature, in Ireland it's a little bit tricky because you don't have AC here in a lot of places, but the studies have shown that a cool room around the 18-degree mark is the ideal situation for sleep. So if your bedroom's like stuffy or, you know, you could get a fan to keep it cool, you could crack a window, that kind of can make a bit of a difference, especially in the summertime here, like there's no aircon. So it was hard in Dubai and places like that. Everywhere is air conditioned, but in the summer in Ireland, you just have to put up with the heat right while it's here. And we shouldn't really complain about it. We don't get it too much, but it can have a negative impact on our sleep a little bit. So cracking a window, having a fan in the room does make a big difference. I know it can be tough, as I said in Ireland, sometimes in the summertime, but those little things do add up, right? Now, morning sunlight is a one that's often overlooked. It's so important. I do it every morning myself religiously. I expose my eyes to sunlight soon after waking. It doesn't have to be like the minute you get up, you go outside, but within the first 15, 20 minutes after waking, get outside. It helps reset your circadian rhythm naturally. Viewing sunlight helps with that. It signals to your body that it's daytime, you're awake. So open the blinds or step outside even better and just, you know, sit in it for a couple of minutes. And just a few minutes each morning can make all the difference in the world to resetting your circadian rhythm. Now, let's talk about supplements next, right? We've talked about supplements before in great detail, like magnesium, vitamin D, and K2. In previous sessions, we've touched on these quite a bit, but I want to just highlight them again here because they are such important supplements to take, especially if you have sleep issues, okay? Or any issues with sleep, falling asleep, staying asleep, getting to sleep. Adequate magnesium supports relaxation. Okay, it can improve your sleep quality, while vitamin D helps regulate your circadian rhythm. So again, a cup of chamomile tea is not bad before bed either, or a few hours before bed. It does help unwind, switch off, or a magnesium glycinate, which I use every single night before bed. Really does help. It's a great way to unwind and get into that relaxed state. It relaxes your muscles and it helps you get into a deeper sleep state. Now, it's not just about the quantity of sleep either, guys. Everyone says, oh, 8 hours, 9 hours. It's the quality of the sleep is the important thing, even more so than the quantity. It's tempting, I know, to sleep in on weekends. I used to do it myself, but wildly inconsistent wake times and bed times actually confuses your internal clock, okay? So if you need to catch up on sleep, aim for an extra hour, rather than going sleeping in until noon or going for 2 or 3 extra hours or four. Like, it really messes up your sleep routine. A nap as well, if you need to catch up during the day for 20, 30 minutes or midday, can really help restore your energy without stealing from nighttime sleep, let's say. And studies now have shown as well, guys. We speak a lot about creatine here as well. It's such a good supplement for different reasons. A lot of people used to demonize it. Thankfully, nowadays it's becoming more and more mainstream, more and more popular for all its benefits, not just from a performance standpoint in the gym and improving muscle mass and helping with fat loss, recovery, all those things, but sleep, it has been shown to massively improve. If you're sleep deprived, let's just say you've had a really bad night's sleep, you only got 3 or 4 hours for whatever reason, something happened. Taking creatine can help reduce the effects of a really bad night's sleep. It can actually completely eliminate them. The studies have shown when you supplement with like 3 to 5 grams of creatine, which isn't very much. I take five at least every day myself, mainly for performance, but has been shown to do so much more for sleep and also your cognitive ability to think. Even people with concussions, CTE, who play contact sports, creatine has been shown to help with that. It really is an amazing supplement, guys. for men and women. So don't be afraid of it. And if you want to learn any more about it, feel free to reach out to me in private and you can ask me any questions. And you can ask here as well tonight, guys, if you do have any questions around creatine. But that's basically it on first topic. This week, I would suggest try one or two of the sleep hygiene tips that we gave and keep a quick note of how you're feeling each morning after following those sleep hygiene tips. Do you wake up fresher? Are you less likely to hit the snooze button? You know, I'd love to see your observations at your next check-in. Let me know. We'll see if anything has improved and we can swap some ideas and see maybe what we can add in or replace or look at maybe other guidance around supplementation as well that really does help. Because sleep, guys, as I said, it's often overlooked and it's one of the key ingredients to feeling better on a day-to-day basis and also a fat loss transformation. So, any questions on topic number one, guys, before we move on? Feel free to pop it in the chat or you can unmute as well and ask if you want, either or, and then we'll keep trucking on to topic number two. Or just give me a thumbs up if it's all good and everything makes sense so far, just so I'm not losing any of you here. Because I do get carried away sometimes with rambling on certain topics as I get into them, but I want to just give you what you need and not give you all the fluff around it. Give you what works, the helpful points, the helpful tips, actionable steps that you can go and take away, and maybe advice around what you should do with it. Marie, all is good. Raising your hand. Take it. Is that a thumbs up, Marie, or do you want to unmute, or you want to ask a question maybe? We'll take it as a thumbs up. Feel free to unmute if you want to ask the question, or we'll just take that as a thumbs up. The chat section is here on you guys, just in case you can't see it. We have another person joining here now as well. There's the chat anyway, guys, just in case you can't see it. It's a thumbs up button. I see that, Marie. Perfect. Everything's making sense anyway. Let's keep moving on. Susan, welcome. I know you're a little bit late. Don't worry. You'll be able to catch up on the topic tomorrow. Of topic one, we spoke about sleep and recovery, but we're moving now on to topic two, which is about training smarter and making sure we stay injury free and making sure as well we know when we can deload and take a little bit of a break from exercise. Now, we all probably know we should be exercising and training hard, guys, to see progress. But let's talk about training a little bit smarter, okay? Because we all love the idea of pushing hard a lot, well, most people do anyway, but the only way to keep progressing long term is really to stay injury free, right? We don't want to be getting knocks and injuries that are going to set us back because nothing stalls momentum more like a pull muscle or a strained tendon. So we need to understand the difference between overuse and overload. So overuse injuries, these come from repetitive stress on the joints and tendons, and you can think about things like tendonitis in the elbow, too many kind of heavy curls in the gym, the exact same way like tennis players and boxers can get it from the same repetitive movement in their arms, right? Overload injuries then these happen suddenly when you jump up in weight too much or in volume beyond what your body is actually capable of. Okay, that's like going from squatting or deadlifting, we'll say 80 kgs, and you try and go and hit a 140 kg deadlift, in the space of a month. You're asking for trouble then, right? So remember, when you're progressing, slow and steady always wins the race. The solution in these situations is like gradual progression over time. We don't want to give you too much too soon. We gradually increase the load or we gradually increase the volume of our sessions. Like we spread the exercises often out throughout different movements like dumbbells and barbells, machine work and body weight to spread it across the different tissues of the body. And we always do this when we are structuring your training programs, guys. So don't worry, everything is laid out in a specific way for you to get the most out of those sessions and making sure we don't injure ourselves and we don't get hurt or set ourselves back. When it comes to like mobility and activation, people always say, should I be warming up? Should I jump on the treadmill for a while? Instead of jumping on the treadmill for like 5, 10 minutes before your session, which isn't a bad thing if you want to hit more steps, but for a proper warm up, you can try things like dynamic movements. That might be leg swings where you swing your legs back and forth, arm circles if you want to warm up your shoulders, even things like body weight squats, especially if you're working things like your legs. That's like activation work. You're activating those muscles you're going to be using. Same thing with glute bridges or like band pull aparts. You're activating your shoulders there. And glute bridges would be your glutes again for your legs. And this kind of switches on the muscles right before you're about to load them with a bit of extra weight. Especially when you begin to get stronger and you start to go heavier, it's important to think about, warming up for sure. Um, Dynamic stretching does help beforehand to help warm them up and really get the blood pumping around the body. When it comes to cooling down then or after the session, let's say, you can do it afterwards, you can do it at home, at night if you want. A few minutes of static stretching, guys, really does help at the end of a session or at night time before you go to bed because it focuses on the muscles that you've worked, let's say, like hamstrings, your quads, your shoulders, your chest, your back, whatever it is. And it promotes flexibility and recovery while also reducing the lactic acid buildup. It keeps you feeling mobile and limber without feeling too stiff from your strength work, let's say. Now, deload weeks are also important, guys. What is a deload week? A deload week would be a short period, maybe 3 to 7 days often, where you intentionally kind of reduce the intensity of your workouts or your volume. For example, you might use just 50 to 70% of the weights that you usually use and you cut your sets in half so you don't have as much volume. You're just giving your body that little bit of a rest, a little bit of a break while still getting some movement in. And this works because it gets your nervous system to kind of relax and kind of bring it down from where it's at. Let's say it's up at a threshold and you bring it back down to a point where you're kind of resetting it a little bit. Gives your joints time to recover while still maintaining the movement patterns. You're still improving your skills of lifting. Many lifters or anyone that's strength training come back often stronger after and fresher after a little bit of a deload. How often should you do them? Anywhere between 8 and 12 weeks is a good guideline. But you can listen to your body. Everyone is different. And I have noticed that over the years from coaching hundreds of people. Listen to your body when you feel you need one. Some people need them after 5 or 6 weeks. Some people can go to 16, but roughly in around 8 to 12. But we do keep an eye on this throughout your check ins as well. So when you're feeling worn down or sleep is suffering, let's say, or you feel like minor niggles starting to creep in, that's a good sign that, a deload is probably needed. But listen to your body, guys, there's a difference between pain and discomfort. Like a burning muscle during a set is normal. It's actually a good thing. A sharp stabbing pain is not a good thing, right? So don't grind through joint pain or ignore reoccurring niggles, right? Make sure you get them looked at if there's something ongoing with a while. Also, you can adjust as you go on the fly if you need to. Like, let's just say your shoulder's acting up a little bit, or you might have an old injury that's reoccurring. You might want to swap like a dumbbell press for a machine press that's less kind of strain on the shoulder, or you might just use like a resistance band instead to get blood into the area without using heavy load, just to give it a chance to recover. Remember, there's always something that you can do, guys. Whenever we get an injury, it's not an excuse just to stop training. We always work around it because working around it will actually promote recovery and it'll pump blood around the given area that's actually injured and help it recover much quicker rather than if we were just to not do anything. Okay? Movement is medicine, okay, for the body. You hear me say this time and time again. So recovery methods then, guys, like simple habits like hitting our protein is so important. It's so important getting enough protein in each and every day. Okay, being consistent with that and staying hydrated. Water is so important to lubricate our joints. Make sure we are hydrated properly. It'll really help at reducing the risk of injury. If we can get some stretching done or even a massage every month or 2 months, really good for the body as well, just to reduce the lactic acid buildup. Short walks as well, guys, just throughout the day really do help. That'll contribute to massively, massively keeping you healthy. Okay, so on this topic, guys, what I would say is take a look at your schedule. Have you been pushing hard more than 2 to 3 months straight? If yes, it might be time to pencil in a lighter week. I do keep an eye on the stuff in the background anyway, guys. So some of you I like you might have to take an unplanned deload, which is fine. You know, whenever you have a trip or a holiday or you might be a bit sick, it's also important to listen to your body and just take that time to deload. Then that's kind of your breakaway. We look at it as a deload. It happened sooner maybe than we were planning on one. It's fine. We can just keep moving it on from there. Also, I would suggest pick a bit of a mobility or warm up exercises. You know, what you'll start doing religiously before your sessions. Maybe it's simple things like windmills with the legs or hip openers if you've tight hips, or loosen up the ankles if they're an issue, or you know, thoracic rotations, whatever it is for you that you want to start improving. Simple little things goes a long, long way. Um, Topic number three, guys, before we move on, let me know if there's any questions. I think there was someone popped something into the chat here a while ago that I missed. Siobhan, great to see you, Siobhan. Siobhan is getting ready for her half marathon race this weekend, which is actually on in Youghal. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I took part last year with Siobhan. Is going to smash it this year, guys. So um, I started getting outside in the morning after getting up for a few minutes to take a few minutes before getting started with the day. Super. This helps with sleep and also sets you up for the day ahead. Absolutely. It's one of the best things you can do. Sets the tone for the day. You're getting that natural sunlight. You're getting resetting your circadian rhythm. And you can't beat it. A bit of natural sunlight, vitamin D, even on a cloudy day, guys. The rays of the sun still get through. You still get some of the benefits. When it's bright outside, you're still going to get some of the benefits, even if the sun isn't shining. Okay? Really good share there, Siobhan. And again, an example of the difference that it makes, right? So, we'll keep trucking on, guys, because I'm conscious of the time. Give us a thumbs up if that all made sense anyway in the chat. But topic number three is around mindful eating and your hunger cues, which are important to understand as well. You know, fueling the body without having to overthink too much about it, right? So we'll talk about how we eat a bit, right? So we often focus on the macros and the calories and all that stuff, which is, yes, it's important to understand a bit of it. Like, you don't have to know the whole ins and outs of it, just the basics. But tuning into your hunger or your fullness cues will actually make staying on plan even easier, more natural, and less to think about, less of a chore, right? So we need to consider our hunger versus our appetite, right? Physical hunger, if you were to describe physical hunger, it's like a gradual build-up of this emptiness in your stomach. You know, we've all felt it before. Sometimes it's accompanied by a slight drop in energy or concentration. We can't really think of anything else. We just want food, right? That's your body genuinely needing a bit of fuel. Then you have emotional appetite, right? These are things like sudden cravings that just pop up. Often they're triggered by things like your boredom, stress, sadness, or just out of habit. You know, you naturally come in the door from work and you go straight to the cupboard, or you naturally sit down at night after you've done all the chores around the house. You go, do you know what? I need a treat. I go to the cupboard. That's a habit, right? You'll often want something specific: chocolates, crisps, biscuits, whatever it is, you name it, right? And you will feel unsatisfied then after eating it. That's emotional appetite. Okay, so the next time we're feeling, whether it's the physical hunger or the emotional appetite, you can kind of check in with yourself and ask yourself a question, right? I know I do this myself. So if you're not sure if you're hungry, ask yourself if you'd eat something bland instead. Like, stop there. Can you hear me again, guys? I think it just froze there for a second.
Yeah, you're back there again.
Brilliant, thank you. Appreciate that, Lydia. Sorry about that, guys. Little bit of a glitch in the system. Um, I was on about the checking question to ask yourself, right? If you're not sure if you're hungry, ask yourself if you'd eat something bland, like chicken or steamed veg, right? If the answer is no, it might be emotional or habitual hunger. Okay? Either or. It can stem from both, usually, if you are not willing to eat something bland. Not even that bland, like, do you know, am I going to make a full meal for myself? Am I going to have a chicken sandwich or a ham and cheese sandwich? You know, am I genuinely hungry, or am I just having something that's for the sake of it, hunger, emotional, habitual, right? So the hunger scale then, right? Rating your hunger and fullness on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 would be like you're ravenous, you're nearly shaky, you might be lightheaded, you can't think clearly, you're so hungry, right? That's number one, right? On three, then with the three of the scale, we'll say you're mildly hungry, you could eat, but you're not ravenous. Five then is you're comfortable, you're not really hungry or you're full. Seven is you're satisfied, you're kind of pleasantly full. And then 10 would be stuffed, you're uncomfortably full. We've all felt that feeling as well before, right? So aim to start eating when you're around the 3 to 4 mark, and finish at around the seven. I know this might be hard to imagine, but this kind of helps you avoid extreme hunger, which often leads to overeating or eating past fullness. When we get to that ravenous state, we just eat until we can't eat anymore often because we left it too long. We are genuinely hungry, but we're just not feeling satisfied enough. Whereas when you're mildly hungry, you could eat. That's a good time to go. And then when you feel satisfied, pleasantly full, it's a good time to put the knife and fork down, okay? Another few tips would be like slowing down the eating and kind of portion awareness. If we eat slowly, it really does make a big difference to our digestive system, to our body's ability to actually break down the food, to signal when we're actually full, rather than if we eat too quick, the body can't keep up. So chew each bite thoroughly, right? Put your fork down between mouthfuls. If there's people there, keep a bit of conversation going. It kind of sounds awkward rather than just keep eating and eating and eating like a robot, but you'll be surprised how much more satisfied you feel if you take your time with the meal. Be present with it. Appreciate the meal. Be grateful that you have the meal. You know, Gratitude is a really big one. Really big one, right? Be grateful. I know it's a bit woo woo. I'm not telling you to say a prayer before every meal or anything like that, but show a bit of gratitude. We're very lucky to be in the position that we're in, guys, that we can get food. We see what's happening around the world in places like Gaza where people are starving, right? So think about things like that and, you know, about being grateful for what we have, and it does really helps us slow down the eating, be mindful, appreciate it. Manage your portions as well. Serve your meal on a plate rather than eating from a pot, or a packet. When you see everything in front of you, you're kind of more aware of what you're consuming. Then this can be a hard one in this day and age, is like removing distractions. I'm guilty of it sometimes. I won't lie about you might have something on in the background while you're eating, whether it's a laptop or a phone, a TV. Um, this tricks your brain a little bit into eating mindlessly, especially if you haven't actually done your portion control, right? You haven't maybe counted your calories or weighed out your food. You can kind of keep eating whatever you loaded up in the plate, or if you're eating out, very easy as well. You're kind of looking at the screen, you're on the phone or whatever it is. Try sitting at a table, your dinner table, go through the motions of eating the meal, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes. Boom, enjoy it, and away you go. Okay? Emotional eating triggers are also important to understand, and we need to identify patterns around that pop up. Are you snacking because you're actually tired, or maybe you're stressed, or maybe you're just procrastinating? Like once you notice the trigger, you can address it. Okay, maybe with a quick walk, you might just change your state is a great one to get outside and you're just feeling like you're eating for the sake of it or just because you're bored or procrastination as we said or stressed. Go for a walk, have a glass of water, a bit of breath work or something like that, right? If you're into that kind of thing, 5 minute breath work really does work well. Um, Plan your satisfying meals. Marie the other day, she reached out, she goes, "Do you know what, Kate, I'm looking for some new ideas for recipes. Can you point me in the direction of some meals?" And I goes, "Of course, we've our food files guide in the group, which there's a ton of options to choose from." Lydia, I don't know, did I point you in the direction of it as well? Maybe I did, it was someone else. Um, and she gave the taco for minutes ago, which is one of my favourite dishes. I actually have that probably, if not every week, every second week. But there's tons of different recipes there that I like to test out. Thai green curry was another one someone gave a try of, Susan, I think it was. Um, so there's loads of different recipes that we can be testing out. So plan satisfying meals, meals that combine protein, fiber, healthy fats, carbs as well, things that will keep you feeling fuller for longer and reduce the cravings of snacking on junk. So think chicken stir fries with rice, veggies, Greek yogurt, and berries. You might have seen recently, I've been putting up my kind of yogurt bowl series there. All of those kind of things, guys, are full of nutrients, full of foods that'll help you hit your protein, keep you satiated, energy, everything, you name it, right? omelets loaded with, healthy things like spinach, tomatoes, like you can have a bit of avocado on the side. All these different things, guys, that we do, they're all within the food files guide. If you want more ideas of different recipes, let me know. If you can't find it, I'll tag you in it just like we done for Marie, okay? Um, so what I want you to do this week, guys, and we'll finish on this, right? Pick one meal time this week to practice mindful eating. Sit at the table, no distractions, be grateful, gratitude, chew your food thoroughly, pay attention to how hungry you are before and after. Jot down if you want a few notes that you want to ask me about afterwards. If you have questions, how did you feel halfway through it? Did you stop earlier than usual? We chat about your experience at your check-ins, or even keep them, the notes that you had in your mind for the check-ins if you want. Okay, so there you have it, guys. That's tonight's session. Three powerful topics. Usually in these open offices we try to cover sometimes two if there's a bit more information in some certain topics, like we spoke on sleep, training smarter, not just harder, and mindful eating, which is very important. All these things, guys, simple stuff, but it can supercharge your results, and without needing to overhaul your whole life or your whole program. Like, what matters isn't just implementing everything at once either. Not expecting you to go away and just go, right, to do everything Caleb said tonight within a week. It's not like that. It's bit by bit we begin to introduce new things. By choosing one or two things that we can actually stick to, we're going to win. Okay? So, anyone want to share anything in the chat? Any more questions? Any more takeaways? Let's hear it. Um, or maybe one thing you're going to try out this week that you heard from tonight. Be great to hear. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the session as always. Next week we've the first part of a very important kind of series. We're doing this a two-part series called Understanding Your Eating Behaviors. You learn a ton from these sessions, guys, or these upcoming trainings. Two-part series, as I said, one will be next Thursday, and then the other will be Thursday after, just to help you understand why you might be doing what you're doing a little bit more, okay, when it comes to your eating behaviors, and help you crack a few problems or solve a few issues that might be ongoing with those kind of things, okay? Keep the questions coming as well, guys, as always. I'm here. If you need a hand, reach out anytime, whether it's on WhatsApp or through the coaching app, okay? Let's see what Marie says. Caleb, what's the magnesium you take before bed? Magnesium glycinate, or sometimes it's called magnesium biglycinate. One or the other. Um, I can send you a link for one that I use. I'll send it on to you afterwards, Marie, if you want, on WhatsApp, or I can pop it in here. Just let me see, can I find it? Anyone else have any questions, guys, before we sign off? Magnesium glycinate, no. Citrate is also a good one. That actually helps more if you have an upset stomach or digestive issues, you're struggling with constipation and things like that. That one can help with that also. So, guys, I'll drop the magnesium glycinate in here, the one I use. It's in the chat. If you want to click it, it'll open up in another window. It's a really, really good one, really good brand. Um, I swear by it. I think it's amazing. There's another really good brand as well. I'll just give you another option, so another good one that's there. Like, there's a lot of good options. It's not just the ones I'm sending in. There is a ton of really good ones these days. Anything that's kind of 4.5 stars or above there on Amazon is pretty good. And there's different sizes as well. The no ones are good. And where's that other one that I used to use there? Magnesium supplement needs. Yeah, this is another good one as well. So that's it, guys. Any questions and from anyone? Anything else anyone wants to cover before we close out here tonight? And if not, feel free to reach out to me in private. Any of you ladies here tonight, and anyone that's listening back to the replay, obviously you can reach out to me as well. Drop a comment below once the video goes into the group, guys. I'd love to hear what stood out to you most as well. Your biggest takeaway from it. It just helps me learn as well what's helping you, okay? So that's it. Sounds like everyone's all good to go. We'll land the ship there. Thanks a million, Lydia, Marie, Siobhan, Susan. Great to see you here tonight. We'll see you all on the inside, okay?